empower, equip with the Way Beyond Measure podcast.
That's right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Coach Verdue, and we are the Way Beyond Measure educational podcast. And I'm telling you, today is a wonderful treat. I met Ari last week, and we've got to discuss so many different topics. Okay, tons of different topics, as you might imagine. But I'm telling you, he's got a slew of wisdom. He really is amazing. I can't wait. So without further ado, you guys, Ari, how are you, man? How you been?
I'm doing great, David. Thank you so much for having me here.
My gosh, you know what? After hearing your story, Ari, I am glad that you're here. Dude, I can't wait for you to just talk about it and share, because I want people to understand that what you did and how you got through, others can as well. So would you do us a great favor and share with us your story and tell us more about who Ari is?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So like Coach David said, my name is Ari, and I was born in Canada, raised in LA, and moved to Vegas when I was 12. But when I was 4 years old, I was diagnosed with ADHD. And immediately my parents, took me to a doctor, and the doctor was like, your son has ADHD, and they put me on Ritalin. If you guys haven't heard of Ritalin, Ritalin is like a really hardcore medication. And for a 4-year-old to be on Ritalin it's to look back on it, it's really nuts. I went from being a very plump-sized kid to, in like 3 months, like a toothpick. I wasn't eating anything. My mom got so scared that she went to the doctor and said, "This isn't normal. My son, he's like anorexic looking. Like, we don't know what's going on. He's not eating anything." So they took me off the Ritalin, and then 3 months, literally like 3 months, I was back to that plump size. Like, that's how much power these medications sometimes have on us. It's not normal for that to happen, maybe like when you're, in your 20s or your 30s, you can fluctuate rate like that, but not when you're 4 years old. That's crazy, right? So when I was 9, I was diagnosed with bipolar. It wasn't until I was like in my early 20s that I learned that I was actually misdiagnosed, which was very like unsettling, because when I was 9 years old, they put me on bipolar medication as a 9-year-old. At one point, I was on 1,500 milligrams of something called geodone. If I would accidentally take this stuff, I was done. If I took it in the morning accidentally, my day was over. And also this medication, the psychiatrist literally told my parents, if Ari is having a tantrum, give him the medication, put him out. That's what I was told. So I was never taught how to deal with this stuff. I was never taught how to be in control of myself, how to regulate my emotions. This is something I had to learn as an adult, something I'm very passionate about now, helping others, because I had to go through it myself. And at age 12, a lot of people don't know this. I'm sharing with all you guys today, and I hope it really does help people who are feeling like they're really in a stuck place know that if, just like Coach David said, if I was able to do it, you guys can do it too. So Coach David's getting the exclusive right now. When I was 12 years old, my parents really didn't know what to do with me, how to help me. So they sent me to rehab. I was in a rehabilitation center when I was 12 years old. I got most of my education about life within the walls of a rehab. And I was living in rehabs and boarding schools from age 12 to 17. I moved around a lot for it too. I started in a short-term rehab in Vegas, moved to a rehab eventually in Texas, where my therapist at the time literally told my parents, your son is too attached to you. You can't have any communication with him for 3 months. It was very, very hard for me. I'm still actually in contact with this therapist. She's not as a therapist, but because I'm like a success story of her. But that was very hard. That was a very hard thing for me to like not be in touch with my parents for 3 months when I was only, 12 years old. And it was very difficult. So, sorry, I haven't really spoken about this before, so it's a lot for me. But it's it was a challenge, learning how to depend on myself and to know that I have the power to overcome difficult situations. And when I look back on it, I don't regret being in rehab one bit. Being in rehab from 12 to 17 helped me become the person I am today. And I love the person I am today. I'm an amazing person. I'm not trying to like blast my ego, God forbid, but I love me,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't be completely me if I didn't have to go through all those things.
You're amazing. That's just it. It's an absolute truth. Is how amazing you are and what you had to go through. So I want to go back a little bit. You had mentioned Texas. Do you remember where were you in Texas when you were in the?
So I was in a rehab called Laurel Ridge.
Okay.
It was in San Antonio, Texas,
Okay.
and it was actually the guys who got sent to this place. A lot of them were sent there because they had addictions with drugs. I didn't have that. I just didn't know how to communicate. I would have temper tantrums because I didn't know how to express myself, and that's actually why the doctors thought I had bipolar, because I would have these big outbursts because I didn't know how to express myself.
Wow.
Later in life, I learned that that's actually a symptom, a side effect of having ADHD, you know? And through all the meds, they were just trying to keep me quiet, not
Cover.
having to deal with me, and work with me. I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to express that I was upset. And my parents, they really tried. They really did. They really did try. But it was they just didn't know how to deal with it, and they thought the best thing for me was to be sent to these places.
I worked in Texas as well at Cal Farley's Boys Ranch. There's like we had about almost 400 at
Well,
risk kids, ADHD, schizophrenia. I mean, we had so many different from the age of 7 all the way to 18. It was a working farm. So I can only imagine. I am so thankful that I was sent there. I'm not telling you that I'm all that, but every one of those students, every one of those kids, okay, um, not some, every one, I had a relationship with, and I treated them with respect and gentleness and kindness. You know, first off, Ari, thank you. Your story is powerful. And I know that we as adults, as professionals, as whatever we are, they do the best they can. And if they don't know how to deal with it, what we do is we mask it. And we've become a
right.
mask to society. What would you tell to parents, or how can we help parents that have young children that might have outbursts, how do we educate them so that they can communicate, Ari? I mean, what can we do, my friend?
So what I think it's very important, especially if parents have a kid that they don't know how to help, and the kid might have a lot of energy, the kid might have outbursts, they don't really understand their kid, but they love their kid and they want to help their kid. So you have to have a lot of patience, a lot. And one of the ways I believe to have a lot of patience is you have an obligation as a parent to make sure you have time to yourself, to make sure every single day that you grab time for yourself. Steal it if you have to. You have to make sure that you get time for yourself in order for you to be the best parent that you can be for your kid. Because especially if you have a kid who was like me, you know, I was, it was bad. It was really, it was, and it's not that I was a bad kid. I just, I didn't know how to regulate. I didn't know how to express myself. I didn't learn this, you know, until much later in life, you
Right.
know? So your kid is really trying to learn how to express themselves. And for them to be able to do that, it's a partnership. They have to learn through you.
Mhm.
So you having patience and you're helping them learn skills, how to calm their nervous system and different techniques that can help them, communicate and relax when they're feeling that pressure take them over. I really do believe that that will help parents to be able to help their kids who are struggling.
Parents, that is a parent stand. Let's go back to you.
Hmm.
Maybe I want to get somewhere where you have some cognitive. I don't know how cognitive you are of 4 year old, five, six. I don't know if you have a story in there, but if we
Hmm.
moved up to like 12 years old and stuff, is there is there anything that you can remember that triggered you, one, but also was a reminder that you can bring it down a notch? Was how did you come through? How did you get, I guess, get through when you had your moment?
So I'll tell you, it's not just one age, but it's a series of things that I remember that would really trigger me. And it was food. Food would always trigger me, you know? When I was, for instance, and I'm not proud of this, but I'm going to share this because I really worked on myself and I did a lot of hard work on myself, right? But to just give you an idea that if this is not worked on at a very young age, that this can turn into the teenage years. So after boarding school, right? I mean, sorry, after rehab, my parents wanted to send me to like a wilderness camp, but they wouldn't accept me because I was on a bunch of heavy medication. And so they sent me to a boarding school, right? They sent me to a boarding school. And there was a time that I was at this boarding school. I was no, I was 15 years old at this boarding school. And I was helping one of the teachers, right,
Mm.
prepare lunch for a lot of special guests. I think they were investors, right, for lunch. And the teacher told me, I asked what is for lunch, and she said pasta salad, right? Cold pasta salad, right? I guess I had a thing with cold pasta. I didn't like it, and I lost it. And I took the pasta and I threw it, and then she was coming at me. And as like a defense mechanism, I pushed her, and I was 15. I ended up getting arrested for that. Um, and that stayed on my record all the way until I tried becoming a citizen of Israel. And then only then I realized it was still on my record. Um, so I had to carry that with me until I was 25 years old. For 10 years, I carried that without knowing it. It was just like on my shoulders, you know? But when I learned, the reason why I'm sharing this with all of you is when I learned about that relationship that I had with food, right? Of how that was such a trigger part of me, like a big trigger. And then like sharing food, I made big issues over food, right? Now, today, right? I am so much more relaxed when it comes to food. I
I,
go like I don't even have to go out of my way anymore
it,
to like, not make a big thing about it. Like I'm like, my wife's like, what do you want for dinner? I'm like, I'm okay. Whatever you want to make me, I'm gonna like it. And thank God my wife's a foodie too. Like she's into it. It's her therapy.
do you ever
I hope
find
that.
yourself at this moment? First off, now when we do meet and you have your plate, I'm going to reach over with my fork and go, "Oh, let me have a Can I tell you? My
You
kids
know, it's funny
freak
you said
out,
that.
dude. They hate that. My kids.
My wife, when we were dating, she literally took her fork. We were having risotto together, and she literally, like, I'm about to like take a bite, and she like took the bite that I was about to eat, right? And that was a big moment for me. You have no idea. There was a huge moment, and I looked at her directly in her face, and I said, "I must really like you." And she's like, "Why?" Like, because that didn't bother me as much as I thought it would. You know? Um, yeah, that was a.
I'm gonna find out how much you like me. I don't like you. Hey,
You
get
might
off
get one of
of
these
my.
looks.
That's awesome. So so let's talk about where you are right now, Ari. Being a human like you are, and being amazing. Do you ever have to find yourself? You ever find yourself going, uh oh, I need to. It doesn't mean that everything that you had has completely disappeared. It means you've learned how to deal with it. Perhaps. Do you still get triggered today? And how do you deal with it?
So, absolutely, I'm a human being.
Right.
Uh, I, you know, I get triggered, right? I would say that I don't get triggered like I used to get triggered, right? I'm a very big believer that marriage and being a parent will bring up things that you did not work on in your life, especially things that you might have thought that you worked on, but really you just push them aside. And marriage brings them back out. So I would say that through marriage, through being a parent, I have been more in touch with myself, right? And ways that you can't even really understand until you experience that yourself. And when I see myself getting frustrated and see myself getting triggered, what I do is, and this was very hard for me, right? I don't know why this was so hard for me, but this was very hard for me. I respectfully tell my wife, I need to go take a walk. And that's one of the things that I do. Sometimes I don't have that option, right? Sometimes I don't have that option, but I tell her, like, if it's one of those times, like, I just got to go, you know? And sometimes it's better to just do that than to get into an argument, you know? If I have to just, walk out, even though my wife may not want me to walk out, I have learned that the most selfless thing that I can do for my family is to walk out when I feel like I'm about to lose it. That there's no selfishness in that. It's
Oh,
completely selfless,
sure.
you know? And that took me a long time to learn that, right? Because and it takes real strength to do that and to realize that in this moment, I am not beneficial, like it's not beneficial for anyone to be around me,
Right.
you know? Let me go out, breathe, get back to my center, get back to my true self, and then go back being the best Ari that I can be.
That's so great. You talked about it in the beginning. You've got to find time for yourself. I call it the fueling station. Go fill up
Right.
because you are just a human and you will get on empty. It's when you're on empty that you start to feel depressed and lonely and hurt. And so you go to the doctor and they say, hey, let me fill you up. And those aren't even the right things to be filled up with.
Exactly.
There's nature, there's people, there's, you know, but we run to because we think symptom, we go, we get, oh, I'm taking another medicine.
Right.
Spend
We're always
time.
other
And I,
people to fill ourselves. We're always trying to find other people to fill us up. We never take the time to fill ourselves
no,
up.
that's right. You take the time and there are people around you. You're not meant to do life alone. You got to find your
Right.
people. and so that they can help you and they can move you into a direction that will be educational, life-changing, and just super dynamic. It really is. Ari, real quick, we have a few more minutes. Tell us what you do, my friend. I know that through your circumstances, it's pretty funny that through your circumstances, now all the things that you've done, now you're helping people. Is that what you're doing? I mean, that's like just to me, it's like I go through, and now it's like now I'm helping people. What? Isn't that amazing? Go ahead, bud.
Yeah, I'm a transformation coach and an energy healer. Like I hope men who are feeling stuck in their life, right, who have lost focus of who they are, I hope them regain that control in their life. I hope them reconnect with who they really are. A lot of the guys that I work with, they have these negative beliefs about themselves, right? They have gone through so much and they have told themselves so many negative things that they've been told, that either they told themselves or other people told them, to now they believe it to be truth. So, the guys that I work with, we work on really helping them understand that they are not that, right? And we help them reconnect to, their true self, to who they really are. And like you said, it's fitting, it's fitting for me to do this type of work because it's not like I have like a piece of paper that says, "Hey, look at me, I'm qualified," but I lived it, I lived it. It's real for me, I understand it, I resonate with it, and it's what I'm passionate about. And I feel very blessed to be able to do this as a profession, to really be there, to be part of the journey of all the people that I'm working with.
Give us some ways to get a hold of you, my friend. And throughout the podcast, we've been running it across here, but give us some ways to get a hold of you. And do you have a workbook? Or how can I promote you? What would be the best way, Ari?
So you can find me on Instagram at Next Level Living Coaching. You can find me on Facebook under Ari Sarap. I guarantee you I'm the only guy with a big beard like this with the name Ari Sarap, so you can't miss me. And I'm also on TikTok at Next Level Living Coaching.
That's awesome. I'm telling you, go check it out. He is next level. It was funny. Through our discussions and stuff, we sort of looked at each other and had a moment where it was like, you know what, dude, I like you. You know what I mean? It was like we haven't met or connected. I mean, we're in different countries, but I like the dude. Go check out Ari, guys. You won't be disappointed. Thank you, Ari, so much for being part of this program. You are a powerful man with thoughts and knowledge that need to be pulled from other people. We call those fruits. Let that fruit hang. Don't be afraid to let people grab from your fruit. You guys, that was awesome. That was so, so amazing. Until next time, guys, I'm Coach Verdue. This is my buddy, Ari. Make it a great day.
Folks, thanks so much for joining us today and for your ongoing support. You can follow us on LinkedIn at #WayBeyondMeasure or otherwise by searching for Coach David Verdue. That's V as in victory, ERDU. You can also contact us directly online at waybeyondmeasure.com to book Coach Verdue for an upcoming event. His energy and message is absolutely next level. We look forward to spending time with you next week as we continue to discuss character development and other topics guaranteed to push you way beyond measure.